Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
Truth, lies, shenanigans. 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 Tune in to TLS. Yeah, tune in to TLS. It's the TLS show. Coming to you live from the TLS show.
Hey, welcome to Truth, Lies, Shenanigans podcast. Social commentary, hot topics, amazing guests with a ton of fun and shenanigans along the way. This week's podcast, we have a very special guest. As most of our audience is aware, my wonderful city of College Park was shocked and appalled when frequent guest on this show, Mayor Patrick Willian, former Mayor Patrick Willian, was arrested for child pornography. For the most part, our city councils remain quiet on the matter, but today we have College Park Councilmember Kate Kennedy sharing her thoughts publicly for the first time. We'll also talk in depth about her career on the council, her plans for the city going forward, and she just might have a big announcement to make. Plus, we're talking about the safety of our money in banks, the resurgence of vinyl records, and the uproar over farming octopi. You can watch us live on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitch TV. We'll be trolling your comments on YouTube and Facebook at TLSLiveShow or TLSshow.com. So feel free to join in the conversation. As always, I've got to introduce you to my co-hosts. First up, we have our nature lover, gamer, rock star, coming to you from Ontario, Canada, Mr. Robbie Rock.
Hey, what's up, everyone? It's great to be back for another Sunday. It was a relatively quiet week on the home front. I worked in the office this week, so I like to relax when I come home. But I have my exercise and music regime, so just multitasking during recreation time. So if I'm watching TV, I'm planking, doing push-ups, sit-ups, blah, blah, blah.
Nice.
But yeah, man. My wife and I have been binging Fear Factor for some
Fear
reason.
Factor. Okay,
Yeah, right?
that's an interesting binge.
It's one of
That
our
is.
guilty pleasures, but we talk about how we would tackle different challenges and the strategy and communication aspect of it, not to be confused with completing any of the challenges, because some of these things look crazy intense. But
So you're not eating donkey penis and stuff like that?
When aren't
Or
I?
cockroaches. I love Fear Factor.
Not Wednesday nights.
That show was crazy.
No, it
Oh my
was
God,
crazy.
it is so crazy. And some of the couples ones, just how they talk to one another.
Nasty.
My wife and I are like, what? No.
Your wife
No.
Jose says we would totally kick butt.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got Dr. Rochelle Thompson's on YouTube. She says, I have farming octopi, and you guys look refreshed. All right. All right.
Nice.
Next up, our college student, model, business owner, streaming from Atlanta, Georgia, Gianni Storm.
Actually, I'm now in Stone Mountain, Georgia. I'm a Stone Mountain.
Stone Mountain.
But yes, I'm in. I'm about 25 minutes from Atlanta. I'm in my new place. Thank you, Dr. T, for saying that. I appreciate that. I love it here. I have a fireplace. It's gonna be cute. Next time you guys see me, it's gonna look better. It's just I just moved in. Okay, so give me a break. But there's a lake nearby. It's just beautiful. It's such a safe environment. It's a gated community. I just feel so much better in this place. So I'm grateful.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah, you were struggling in
yeah.
another place. At least your car won't get broken into now, maybe.
Yeah, my car
Fingers
is
crossed.
my Kia is right. Fingers crossed. So we're still in Georgia. We're still around Atlanta, guys. So it's the chances are still there. But no, we're doing good.
Good. I'm glad you're doing
Awesome.
better. All right, and of course, I'm your host, Neo Nix. And I just came back from a business trip in Anaheim, California, and I was hoping to kind of get away, get some nice warm weather from this East Coast weather from the winter, and
you got the rain, right?
yes, it was raining. Both the first 2 days I was there, nonstop rain. It was cold.
Just
and
your luck.
then I was only there 4 days, and the next 2 days it was freezing. I was like, what happened
my
to it never rains in Southern California, and then beautiful weather. It's just, I even went to the beach one of those days, and it was just freezing. Had jackets on,
cold?
jeans. Yes, cold. It was. I might as well
You
have been
didn't get
here.
the experience. Yeah.
I might as well have been here. It was cold. So I'm not. And as a matter of fact, just before I went, they had 3 feet of snow or something. It's like Canada up in there.
In Southern California?
Southern
You
California.
You
Oh my
wish it was like Canada there.
Yeah, you're like negative 52 degrees or something.
Oh, please. Not anymore. It's
Nobody,
past that time of
nobody
year.
wants to be in Canada anyway.
Different.
All right, let's go ahead and get into the show. As I mentioned at the top of the show, we have a fantastic guest, Councilmember Kate Kennedy. Hey, Kate, welcome.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. How are you?
Hello, excited to be here. Really excited to be here. I've been listening to your show all week in preparation for this, and I've been absolutely loving it. And the term or the phrase that keeps coming back to me is healthy discourse. That's what you guys are about, which I really like it and appreciate it. Love to talk more about it, but I just wanted to say that at the top, that I really appreciate that.
I think we
You're
might have to
putting
start
that in
using
your-
that. We're going to put that in
Healthy
something. We're going to
discourse.
start advertising healthy discourse. I like it.
And
I know, I
fun.
like
I mean,
that.
I love the song. It's good. It's good. I love it.
Thank you. All right, so let me
Thank you,
introduce Kate
Kate.
Kennedy. She's serving in her 3rd term as council member for District 1 of College Park, Maryland. As council member, she currently chairs the Community Preservation Trust and has previously chaired the council committee to improve the committee structure, and also brought an English language tutoring program to a local elementary school. She advocates for a more inclusive and welcoming College Park because she believes a neighborhood should be more than a collection of strangers. It should be a community. In her day job, Kate is a nonprofit fundraising executive, raising funds for youth-centered and civic engagement organizations, and currently is fundraising for a national nonprofit working to end childhood hunger. She has an MBA from
Nice.
Georgetown University, undergrad degree in English and Women's Studies from Keene State College. Kate and her husband are active foster parents for teens and live in North College Park with their rescue dog. She enjoys gardening, shopping at the wonderful Hollywood Farmers Market around the corner from my house.
Yes.
And most importantly, the most important thing that she does, that she loves to do, is indoor cycling at Posh Cycling and Fitness. Posh.fit.
Yes.
I'm giving him a shameless plug. Posh.fit. Check it out. She also enjoys
It's
vegan
true.
cooking, sneaking out of the house for some non-vegan eats. So let's give a warm welcome to Councilmember Kate Kennedy.
Thank you. Thank you. So glad to be here. That's a great intro.
So my very first question to you is this. There's a lot online we can look up about you, but can you tell the audience just one thing that we cannot Google about you?
Yeah. So the thing that I love to talk about is that I am a perpetual crafting novice. You can't find this online. So what do I mean by that? I'm literally surrounded. I have watercolors down here that I started doing. I've got
I get
knitting
it.
over there. Like I
Oh,
can't
love
really get good at any of this,
Good.
but
I get it.
like novice crafter.
I'm sort of
That's
like you
my-
get started with something really fun and exciting, and then just it kind of goes off to the side a little bit, and then you get back into it a little bit later, and then you try something else. And
I think it's the newness that's fun.
yes,
Right?
I
It's the
do.
newness
Yeah.
that I like.
That makes
And then,
sense.
you know,
I'm
I
like
do-
that too.
Right? I made scarves for my family. No one else wants one of my scarves. You know, I made it. So then I'm like, I'm not getting any better at this knitting thing. I'm not making socks. So we're moving on to warmer color. That's my thing.
Okay, I love it.
Nice.
I like it. All right, so
Same,
you know,
same
I know there's a video that just got posted, and I'm looking at that sign behind you. Is there some big announcement you'd like to make?
Yes,
Exactly.
I'm running for mayor. I'm running for mayor of College Park. Thank you. I'm so excited. I mean, I've lived here for about 10 years. My husband and I have been on the council for 6 years. You know, I was telling a neighbor earlier today that as soon as I moved into the community, I went right to a community civic association meeting, learned about the association, and I haven't turned back. And love it, and cannot wait to talk more about what my plans are and how excited I am to be part of it. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, we definitely want to get more into what you have planned for the city. We have to get that. But first, I want to knock out the elephant in the room. So, you know, the reason you're actually running is because a few weeks ago, Mayor Patrick Willian, who we've had on this podcast a few times, he resigned as mayor of College Park just before being arrested on 56 counts of child pornography. Now, I know he was a resident in our district. And we all attended a lot of the same events together. What was your reaction when you found out about the arrest? You know, were you shocked, angry, disappointed? Were you in the wait and see mode? I mean, what were you feeling?
Well, devastated would be the top word I would use. It was hard to process. I'm still in many ways still processing it, right? I still don't quite, it doesn't jive with the man I know. With that said, I think, I mean, Neo, I see the words behind you, stop child abuse. That is the most important thing to focus on. And I keep centering that in what I'm saying. And the actions have stopped, right? So the actions that he was doing have stopped, which is the most important. I've also over the last few weeks reflected a lot on mental health. And in particular, you know, how could we have helped him? Because this is obviously, you know, happy, healthy people don't do what he did. So how could we have helped him? And also, how do we as a city take care of each other? How does a mayor take care of their council, right? Because they're the leader of the council. How do they ensure that the council is functioning at a healthy level? And so I've spent a lot of time thinking about that. And actually, listening to your show, I know you all talk a lot about mental health, and I appreciate that. I know I have in council meetings talked about my journey with therapy because, you know, as a foster parent, that was very important for me. And people have come up to me afterwards and said, thank you for talking about going to therapy. Thank you for the importance of that. And to me, that is very, very important. And Rob, I know you talked about it a week or two ago, I believe. And so I appreciate, or I think maybe not. Yeah. Nope. And so I appreciate you putting that out there and being vulnerable in that way, because I think we as a society don't talk about it enough. And so I think, I do think that it is really, really important that we, and this, in terms of, it's a business case too, for the city to be functioning at its highest level. We need our leaders to be mentally healthy. And so I've thought a lot about that. I have things I'm percolating, and if I become mayor, and we can talk more about this, that would be something that I would absolutely focus on.
Dr. Rochelle Thompson
Thanks for is the elephant out of the room
now? So Dr. Rochelle Thompson, who's been a guest host on this show, and she's a psychologist, she says, yes, removing the stigmas from mental health. I love that point. So the council's been really quiet so publicly, so I do appreciate you being willing to share your thoughts. I'm curious, how do you feel like the council's handling that, though, in terms of emotionally, mentally? How do you think the council's handling?
You know, there have been a couple things we've gone through. This isn't the first. This is probably the worst situation we've gone through. We've run through a couple, and we get closer every time, and we get stronger every time. So I actually believe that we will come out of this stronger on the other end. And that has started to, I can see it happening. Okay. And so I know we're all devastated. We're all feeling those feelings, but we you know, I people calling me this afternoon to make sure I was doing okay. And I really appreciate that support, and we're there for each other for sure. Yeah.
I love
Okay,
that.
elephant's out of the room. We can move on.
I'm not.
let me
Next.
Slowly walking out.
let me ask you, what skill sets do you bring to the table that you think make you a good mayor more than a council member? I know you're a fantastic council member. What skill sets make you a fantastic mayor?
I thank you for that question. Great, and thank you for your assessment of my councilness, my council memberness. I think the most important skill a mayor needs to have is the ability to facilitate the conversation. So that the mayor doesn't actually have a vote. They just preside over the meeting and bring people together to have those conversations around what issues are important. So to me, the most important skill, and it's a skill that I believe I have in abundance of, is the ability to facilitate that conversation, both amongst the council and then also with the staff and the community. So so I can delve into that a little bit more if you want, but that I think is the number one. And I think just having a handle on what issues are important to folks, right? What are people, and it's different. I mean, I've been knocking on doors for 2 weeks, right? And so I've been hearing it, and it's in being able to synthesize all of these different issues and come up with priorities that then we as a council can take on, because it's a lot to sort of figure that all out.
Absolutely.
If elected, how would you approach development in College Park?
Oh, you just went right to it. That's the question.
Right.
That's it. You're in Ontario? You mean Ontario Street in College Park? That's where you're calling from? Because we do have an Ontario Street. I think that might be where you're calling from.
Well, let me add on to that, actually, because because Patrick was a popular mayor, and we've seen a lot of development in College Park. I mean, over the time. But that was mostly through a partnership with the University of Maryland. And with anything like that, there's a lot of sprawl, increased traffic, construction. Do you plan to continue to foster that relationship? And are you a proponent of the city's growth and development? To Robbie?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, there's tension, right? There's a lot of tension we have to keep a hold of. The development in balance with our green spaces, right, is one. And so there are a couple of, I had a great conversation with a gentleman. There was a green space green space that they wanted to make into apartments. And there are two phases of it. And basically the short part of the conversation was that phase one was good, phase two was bad for the green space. So those sorts of conversation, that sorts of discourse is important to have around the healthy discourse around different development aspects. Yeah, I think the city has gone in the right direction. I wish that we had more small businesses. We have some, it's great to have Trader Joe's. We've got some great new development and some great new restaurants, but I would like to see smaller business. And actually my friends up at Posh Cycling, great cycling studio, talk a lot about
I love that
great studio. Me too. I was at the first class, by the way.
She was. That's right. She was the first. She was in the very first.
It was one before me, but I was the first one. The permitting process, as you know, Neo, in the city and the county is really hard.
It is.
And so I think one of the ways we can help our small businesses to increase, because we've got a lot of big businesses, right? So we really want to focus on that small business. One of the ways to alleviate that stress is to bring the permitting process into the city and not have it at the county level. Yeah, so that's one of the things we've been talking about.
We had a huge struggle with permitting, and right in the beginning, and it pushed us back. We ended up pushing back our opening, and it was a real big challenge. So, yes, please make that a priority. That would be awesome.
So there's things we want to do. There's things we want to do moving forward to make more small business more accessible. But the development we want to keep going. Just have the conversations around what's healthy and when we go too far.
I do have another question online real quick. Dr. Rochelle Thompson says, has this presented any distrust with the constituents with regards to the government? I think that has to do with the question about Patrick. So I'm sorry, the elephant in the room's still open. Oh. But it's a great question. Has this presented any distrust with your constituents?
Sure. There's been absolutely. And I think everyone is responding differently. I think for some folks, this is real personal. And so that's been hard. And for others, this is, it's easier to focus on the issues in front of us, but absolutely there's been distrust. I think we've got a lot of building to do, or building back that trust. And I do think we talked a little bit about how things have brought the council together. And I do think adversity, a lot of ways, brings people together. And so our community will work through this. I do believe that.
Okay.
Yeah. So thank you for the question, Doc.
Robert,
And I wanted to pivot a little bit and talk about more national issues, kind of like the right to choose what happens to our bodies. So that's usually framed as women's rights and abortion rights. And I personally know I have the right to choose whatever happens, to my body personally. But I wanted to know, what are your feelings on the right to choose versus mandated, like government mandated laws in regards to women's rights and abortion, things like that?
I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that last part, but I will tell you, my first job was at the Feminist Majority when I moved to DC, and I worked on the march to end. It was or March for Women's Rights to Choose, basically. Can't remember the exact title of it, but absolutely, I'm a huge proponent of choice. We don't deal with this at the local level. This isn't an issue that comes to us really, but we absolutely advocate when we can at the state and the national level for those for laws to keep government out of our bodies and out of our bedrooms, for sure. And those are things I support absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Maryland is a pretty safe space in the city for the most part that I've seen. We don't have a lot of laws that are shenanigans, if you will. We don't have a lot of shenanigans happening in that realm. So luckily we don't have to hold anybody account there. But thank you for the question. I it's tough, I think, and not to go back to the mental health, but I feel like a lot of these things weigh on us, right? And these in the last year or so since Roe v. Wade was overturned, it's rough. Take care of yourselves, y'all. Yeah. Take care of yourselves. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in my state, in Georgia, and states like Florida, it is very tough. And the mandates are extremely strict in regard to even not abortion pills or Plan B contraception, things like that. So. That's good.
Yeah, isn't there somebody who just there's one state who just outlawed abortion pills? Was it
Texas, I think?
No, it was Wyoming or Minnesota or something like that. I have to take a look.
Oh.
Somebody just outlawed the abortion pills themselves.
Upstairs.
See?
Yeah.
Trying to take over.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Robbie?
But Texas wasn't that far-fetched. Come on.
Oh, no. they outlawed altogether. So.
It's on brand. On brand,
right?
Yeah. For sure.
All right, Kate, so I've got a hypothetical for you. I'm an entrepreneur in Northern Ontario, Canada, looking to establish a footprint in the U.S. Sell me on College Park.
Oh, I love this question. Well, we have the University of Maryland here, and so you've got access to a top 10 institution that has a lot of opportunities, a lot of knowledge, right? A huge knowledge base there. We have what we call our Discovery District, and so a lot of innovative and technology-based companies have come out of that. I don't know what your business is, but if that's something that you would want to leverage, you've got that there. We also have a really great base of folks. We've got a lot of students here. Our average, I should actually ask you, what is your business, or is this a hypothetical that I'm pitching just generally?
Hypothetical. Okay. This is hypothetical.
So we've got a lot of growth in young adults in this area. So you've got a lot of, if that's your business, if you want to focus on young adults, we've got a lot that are here. Our fastest growing group is under 40 essentially, which is great. We have some great new restaurants coming in, which is also fun. So you can bring your clients out to some great food at our Grill Max, some steak, and we've got an Iron Rooster coming, which is breakfast all day. So you can
breakfast
all
day.
We got
finally
breakfast brunch all day.
I'm there.
It'll be fun.
And
Trader Joe's. We got Trader Joe's. So come on over and check us out.
Yeah, it's been challenging to get restaurants to come in, so that's good to hear that we're getting more restaurants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got some good stuff coming in, and we've just it's you've got a spin studio in North College Park, so you can also after when you're done a good day at work, you can go spin up in North College Park.
I love it. All right, and so since we're talking about College Park and North College Park, one of the frustrating things I found is there's been such a focus on growth and development around the university, and not so much in the neighborhoods like North College Park. It almost feels like it's a little underdeveloped. Will we see, with you as mayor, we see more spending focused on other communities away from the university?
Okay.
Yeah, and I think there's an opportunity because hi, Relis. There's an opportunity to the benefit of North College Park is that that the rents here are cheaper. There are less. And so we can attract more of those small businesses, the mom and pop shops that we were talking about, in places that are not downtown. And so there is a real, particularly Hollywood, which is the district that we live in that we're talking about with the spin studio. There's quite a few places there that are walkable. And so there's a lot of opportunity. The rents are cheaper. So we could really, really create some great walkable space right in our neighborhood. I think in Berwyn is another. So that's a great, that's a great opportunity to do that for sure. I would like to, it's my home. I'd love to. We also just redid the Hollywood streetscape, as you know,
Yes.
Neo. And so building on that, we're going to have some great events that'll happen there. We'll bring some folks in. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Yeah. One of the things, and that was probably the only thing that kind of bothered me with Patrick as mayor was that so much focus was put onto, things around the college. The streetscape is good now that it's coming in because it does bring a little more walkability to the area, more access to some of the commercial district. And so that's a really good thing. So I'm looking forward to that. We do have a question.
And that was a big,
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say that was a big, something I advocated for as council member, as you know. And I do think too that it's kind of moving north. The development is moving northward too. So that's part of what's going on. Yeah.
Got a great question online from Arelis Perez. Let's discuss future affordable housing for seniors and our disabled population. Can you name your top 3 priorities for College Park? Those are 2 separate questions.
I love it. And thank you, Arelis. Arelis does great work in the city around our.
I do know Arelis.
Yeah, in particular around affordable housing for seniors, which is important. One of the projects I'm most proud of as a council member is I created a affordable housing trust. It brought in $15 million. I was the chair of this initiative, and it's to help low and moderate income folks get housing quicker. Mm-hmm. And it also is keeping them as homeowners, which is great. So now that's a part. So phase 1 is to focus on folks that are new homeowners or new to the city. We also want, and this is, I think part of what Arelis was asking, what we'd like to do as we get further into the trust is to work with seniors that want to stay in place and help them see what the house may need. So some seniors may need a ramp, or they may need a retrofitted bathroom, but they may not have the income at this point to do that. So could we find a way to give them that money and then have that house come into the trust so that it stays the trust? We want the houses in the trust to stay home or owner occupied. So that's part of what we're trying to do. So that's one of the things. I also really would like to have us see a senior living facility that is more in the city. We have some, but maybe more moderate income senior living in the city. I think we've got some great spaces that would accommodate that. And just the DC area needs more housing in general.
It does.
And senior housing is one of them. So that is an initiative that I can go into this. I think I answered that first question. Affordable housing is the first thing I talk about whenever I talk about my priorities. So I'm going into the second question.
That was one of my questions. And the second question is, name your top 3 priorities for College Park.
Yeah, so affordable housing, and when I talk about affordable housing, I mean from student rentals through to home ownership, through to seniors. And it's also about generational wealth. So about promoting generational wealth. So we also have some great affordable housing units that are coming in for families, 80% or below AMI, 80%. So lower income families, apartment buildings. So being able to stay in the community, maybe you start in these apartment buildings and then you go to the university and then buy a house and then are able to live. So staying and building generational wealth. That's I'm really excited about that. Another is making sure that we balance that with the green initiatives in our city. So we have a lot of great green space and we don't want to see it all go to development. I think I talked about this at the top of the show, like how do we find that balance? So that's another, so that we preserve those green spaces. I would just want to point out that you'll notice that I'm repurposing my signs that I had for council member. That's how dedicated I am to being green. I got this green marker.
I love it.
So that's my second priority. Good. And I'd say third is around safety, in particular around the university, and making sure students are safe going to and from campus around Route 1, which is a really tough road. And so getting on and off campus, there's a lot of great initiatives happening there. Oh, and small business. Oh, that's a fourth. Sorry. But I already talked about that.
Fourth is good, right?
Love
Fourth
that.
is good. Johnny?
Very important.
Johnny?
That's kind of all the questions that I've had in regard to the national level. If you guys had any other questions.
Yep. So I did have another question. So what about diversity, equity, and inclusion? This was a big issue for the former mayor. Where do you stand?
Yeah. Oh, well, a couple of things is that's a big, we could fill an hour talking about that. I think that the top priority, we actually this week had a great presentation from our Restorative Justice Committee. We have in College Park a historically African-American neighborhood called Lakeland, and the urban renewal in the 60s and 80s really decimated the neighborhood. And we are now, 50 years later, or 40, not even 50, coming and really trying to make right by what happened. And so we have a restorative justice committee that's looking at ways that then that generational growth, generational wealth that I talked about is part of that. I mean, it's bigger than Lakeland, but it's part of it. But also having what we're calling truth and reconciliation around what did happen, talking about that and having a walking tour, having a museum and such. So that was a huge initiative. That's been a huge initiative. The project is continuing to grow and to continuing to flourish, and so we want to. That obviously we'll keep moving forward with that, and we would not want to go backwards. We just want to keep moving forwards. I also, one of the things I'm proud of, when the Committee on Committees, which I think we mentioned, is I talked about I revamped the committee structure with the purpose to make it more inclusive, because we had a pretty homogeneous looking committees in the city, and so we wanted to really be welcoming, and so that was a big part of why we took on that project, to create a more welcoming and inclusive place, to have our committees more representative of our community, and so want to move forward more with those sorts of initiatives for sure.
The College Park is a pretty diverse community.
Yes.
So Lisa Williams online says, I'd like to know more about how College Park can help parents and students navigate the PG school system.
Oh, such a good question. Thank you, Lisa. One of the things I hear when I'm going and knocking on doors is that there's a lot of turnover in the neighborhood because people have families, and as soon as they're out of elementary school, they move on. This has been an issue for years, and so this is a big problem that we are trying to address, and I appreciate Lisa asking that question. One of the issues we have is that we don't have control over the school system here in the city. And so our role as a city is really to advocate at the county and the state level, and to do it as much as we possibly can. And so one of the ideas I have, as I was going around talking to folks, another issue we have here is that we have 2 elementary schools, but then people go off to other high schools. in other towns. They don't stay here in the city. And so I think it would be great if we could have a centralized sort of like PTA of folks that stay in the city that then, maybe their kid is in Greenbelt, which is the city, Greenbelt Middle, which is the city next door, but they're still in the College Park sort of general PTA, and we're able to leverage that to advocate
So sort of an
up to the
advocacy
county
committee.
level.
That's awesome.
Exactly. That's what I'd really like to see. And particularly the parents, having those parents involved, because they really get excited at the elementary. We have really good, strong PTAs at the elementary school and moving it up. Yeah.
That's really good.
Good question, Lisa. Thank you.
That's a great question. We have about 5 minutes. Robbie, did you have a question? 4 minutes.
If you could reverse any decision made by a previous city council, including the current one, what would it be and why?
Great question.
It would be. It was the question that actually was a big topic when I was running, and that is the non-citizens voting. So we had the council got together and it was a mess. You can Google it, but it was a logistical mess. In that the majority of the council supported non-citizens voting, but then through a technicality, it got overturned, and so basically we don't have non-citizens voting right now, which is a shame. And I'd like to see us at some point bring that back up again, because I do think, even going around talking to folks now, not everyone is a full resident of the U.S. but they still, they care about how their trash gets picked up and how and the youth and family services and all the services that we give. And so having a voice in there is important. I also would like to see, this wasn't a choice that wasn't a decision that came up to the council, but I'd like to see 16-year-olds. I'd like to see the voting age lowered to 16. I think that's, I can tell.
For local elections, right?
Yeah, for local elections. So this is actually a huge, my husband this is his big issue. And our first date, he had just advocated in Tacoma Park to have the voting lowered. And I thought, I don't know how I feel about this. And I had to go home and research it before the second date, because I was like, I don't know. I'm not sure if 16 is the right age. I'm not sure. And what I learned is that when you start voting younger, you are more likely to continue voting throughout your life. You're more educated, and so it's habit forming. And if you can form that habit when you're at home, you're more likely to vote. And so that's what swayed me. And I said, yes, absolutely. Let's expand it if we can. So I'd love to see us take that on. It's not a huge priority of mine, but hopefully at some point I can do that.
Yeah. By the way, Arelis Perez says, we became the dumbest city nationally. Non-immigrants pay property taxes. That's an important point to make. I mean, I think a lot of people get caught up in the fact that, they're not citizens of the United States, and they're immediately thinking that, you shouldn't be voting for president but they don't vote for presidents. Local elections, it's for how things occur in the city that they live in, even though they're not citizens, which is an important distinction to make, because I always hear conservatives complaining about, non-citizens voting in local elections. And they're not really getting the understanding that they're not voting for the president. They're not voting for representatives. They're voting for people to manage the city that they live in. So it's a very big, very different issue. Yeah. All right.
And I think that we got that designation because of the logistics around it, not necessarily the decision that was made. Yeah. It was how we process and how we went about it.
Yeah. No. Right. It was just a matter of. There was a technicality that was interesting that we weren't.
They would take an hour to explain, and I don't.
The council that they weren't aware of, and it just seemed weird. All right, so unfortunately we are out of time. I'm looking at the time, so we're out of time. But I wanted you to, if you can, let people know where they can find you so that they can support you, and also give any final words that you have to our audience.
Sure. KateForCollegePark.com. That's my website. You can contact me there. You can take a survey about what you find important in the community. You can donate to my campaign. That would be great. And I'd love to hear from folks. I'd love to hear from folks in College Park and across the country and the world, in Canada, up there in Ontario. I'd love to hear more about your thoughts and look forward. I mean, it's a short turnaround. May 6th is the election, so it's going to happen quick. But
it's a really good point.
Yeah, looking forward.
A reminder that it is a short turnaround because it's they're replacing the outgoing mayor, so it's a very short period. Was it 60 days, right? That you had to
65 from when he resigned. So yeah, it's a special election that, yeah. So I should say, so May 2nd, early voting, Davis Hall. May 6th is the final day to vote and at City Hall. And there'll be opportunities before that to drop off ballots.
And out of curiosity, isn't the regular election coming up this year as well? Or is that?
Yeah. So whoever wins this will have to come do it again in November.
Again in November. Yeah. Well,
wow.
Okay.
Interesting.
So you're doing that in November as well? Should
That's the plan. If I win, yeah, absolutely.
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much, Kate, for joining us. Thanks for sharing thanks for being open and honest with us about everything that's going on in your career. Look forward to speaking to you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Great guest,
Good
right?
engagement from the audience. Good
Great
engagement from the audience.
A lot of questions online.
I'm glad some of the locals turned in to ask some tough questions.
Yeah, because the
Absolutely.
locals know what's going on. So it's
Heck
actually
yes.
They want to
More
know
than I do.
exactly.
So good questions. Good questions. All right, well, let's get into these hot topics.
Lies, shenanigans.
All right, get this up. So the banks are failing. The banks are failing. Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank both failed last week. For the first time, well, first, let me give you banking for dummies. Contrary to some beliefs, banks don't just hold hundreds of billions of dollars of people's money in vaults somewhere. A lot of people think you have these big vaults and that's where all your money's being kept. But what the banks do is they take your money, they invest it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sure, they keep a little cash on hand for withdrawals, but most of the money goes to buying relatively safe investments like government treasury bills, or they take your money and give it to somebody trying to buy a car or a house. You might remember the housing crash in 2008 where banks were giving out money all willy-nilly to anyone who wanted it, even if they couldn't afford it, to actually pay it back. Now, that was different. In this case, money is really, really tight because the Fed raised interest rates a lot. And that was because of inflation. Everything was costing more, so raising interest rates makes money harder to get, which reduces demand for some things, like houses and cars. But it was a perfect storm for a bank that might have been on the edge, wobbling, and easy to be pushed off the edge. So here's what happened with Silicon Valley Bank. Silicon Valley was the problem. There's been massive layoffs from Twitter, Facebook, aka Meta, Amazon, more, lots more. And when the word had gotten out that Silicon Valley was teetering and their stock started to fall, all those rich Silicon Valley billionaires started taking out all their money all at once. Now, like I said, money's tied up in investments. So when people try to take money out in the billions, the bank has to sell off all its investments, as many as it can. And Silicon Valley Bank just didn't have enough that they could sell off, at least not quickly enough.
Selling off they're selling off the savings bonds.
They were
lost
selling
$2 billion.
Everything. Yeah, because it costs, because they sell it off at a discount. So they lose money there.
Right.
So, and then the second bank ran into the similar problem, but that was driven by social media. And then people telling you, oh, the banks are failing, take all your money out now. And so Signature Bank pretty much failed because of that. So my question to you guys, with all these problems with the banks, are banks safe in general, or should we switch to keeping cash under the mattress? Or is Bitcoin and cryptocurrency the future of money? Let's start with Robbie.
The old dirty
All right. Well, let's just say that banks are still giving out money willy-nilly, that they're still lending money to people, to risky ventures. So that's a big part of the problem. It's still too easy to borrow money for high-risk people. But keeping your money in a financial institution rather than your home is still safer, especially when the account is insured. So that is the crux of it. The people who lost the most money are people who have uninsured deposits. But typically, I know in these scenarios, they get nearly half of their money back, or nearly all of their money back, sorry. But
Yikes.
Well,
we're
it's
talking about these two.
the
We're
maximum
talking
what
about
the
these
federal
two banks in the
government insures
States.
is 250. So I just want to.
Yeah. I think that Bitcoin lacks regulation, and until it has proper regulation, it isn't a real contender to replace cash hard money yet. But I think that's the way we will eventually go. For those of you who are keeping an eye on things globally, check out what's happening with Crédit Suisse, the
Oh, I heard about that.
167-year-old bank. They're the second largest lender in Switzerland. So if they
Wow.
teeter, we're talking about global ramifications.
Mhm.
Global.
Wow.
So there's a lot going on for sure. So I don't know
Are
where the
they
future
kind
lies for money.
Are you saying that bank in Switzerland is kind of like teetering a little bit, or you're saying if it teeters, like if it goes
No,
over?
it's
They
teetering.
are teetering. Yeah, they are teetering. They had to secure loans. They had to
Oh,
basically
okay.
their stocks tanked, and now they're just trying to buy back some of their own debt. They've got other lenders and other interested parties making sure that they don't dip.
And
Yikes.
there's nobody insuring the national banks, whereas the World Bank kind of backing them up.
Good question.
I'm not an economist, so
Come on,
I don't
Rodney.
have an answer for you. I don't.
What do you
Just curious if you did. All right. So, Gianni, what are your thoughts? Let me ask your thoughts.
No,
Get
I
into
mean,
it.
the economy and the financial institutes are so complicated that I don't have too much knowledge or information, but I do know we've seen a recession before in 2008. I was about 10, 11 years old, I don't remember. And I remember that they were saying that it was going to be the worst thing ever, and it did impact us for some years, but I think that the way that this recession is going to impact us is going to put us, and to answer Neo's question, is going to push us to a digital currency, because we're already on the tip of digital currency. We already use Bitcoins and those type of coins. So I think that it's not too far-fetched to, in a few years, that's not maybe one of the main forms of currency is digital currency. But also too, like things that we can do, I've been researching it. We need to maybe cut back expenses. We do need some cash on hand, but they don't recommend taking all of your cash out the bank because you kind of need it. But keep some cash on hand. It wouldn't, if you have the money, invest in some gold and silver coins, things like that, stock up. It's not funny, it's true.
Yeah.
These are really important things, but the old-fashioned way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
So what did cause the bank run? What caused that specific bank run exactly, like that day or that week? What caused people
their
to?
stock slid.
Neo explained it in the preamble. It was basically like 8 steps to chaos.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was a process for it to happen.
Yeah. People just started pulling their money out, and then their stock went. I mean, their stock went down, and people started pulling their money out, and they couldn't afford to pay their debts. But my thoughts are, I mean, this, and I know we're out of time, but we shouldn't really worry too much about the banks, especially American banks. I mean, once they start going global, then sure, we may have to worry. But the U.S. banks are insured up to $250,000, and I think most of us can afford. Most of us aren't keeping more than $250,000 in the bank. So if something does happen to one of the banks, most of us will get our money back one way or another. As a matter of fact, these Silicon Valley people didn't actually lose their money yet because the federal government stepped in and took over the bank. So they're still in good shape. They haven't really lost any money yet. But if it does happen, and if it's a lot of banks, the federal government can't prop up all the banks like they're doing with Silicon Valley. So it will have a huge ripple effect, particularly on businesses. If they just start, if their money's lost, and if they chose a bank like Silicon Valley and they just didn't have access to any of their money or in their funds to be able to do transactions, then they fall apart. So then all of our businesses fall apart, and it's going to be a domino effect across the world, not just the United States. So anyway, keep your money in banks, people, and start collecting cryptocurrency And I love the the comment online from Sherry Blaine Savory. I think we should diversify. Keep your money in more than one financial institution.
Yeah.
Not only that,
Yep.
diversify in different investments. Don't just invest
Resources.
in one place. Don't put all your money into stocks. Don't put all your money into treasury bills. Don't put all your money into banks. Keep some money under the the mattress. Why not? I'm not literally under
because
the mattress,
it's
but
that diversification that helps you weather the storm, because where some
Exactly.
segments of the market are losing traditionally in a bear market or in a bear economy, then other segments are doing well, and vice versa. So if you are well diversified, then you might not be making money, but at least you can weather the storm.
And last comment, Jacqueline Robinson, a run on the banks is not good for the economy. One billionaire caused a furor on Twitter, and smaller depositors were nearly left out in the cold. Thankfully, the FDIC stepped in so that regular depositors had access to their funds. Yeah. Billionaires get scared, and then everything goes to shit.
Yep.
Who cares about the billionaires' money? No, I'm just kidding.
Nothing we have to deal with.
Some of those billionaires keep our country running. All right, Gianni Storm. Oh wait. Is this truth, lies, shenanigans? Can't forget this part.
Well, this is true. This truly. Oh, Rob, you think it's shenanigans?
I'm going with truth.
It's truth, but it's based out of shenanigans, because they're not being fiscally prudent. They're using
Fear factor. We're talking about people getting scared. They're scared of
It's true.
scared of
Exactly.
snakes. They didn't want to jump in the in the thing of snakes.
They got nervous.
Yeah. Oh my
They
God.
had to
Yeah.
stay invest.
All right. All right, cool. All right, let's get to the next topic.
Okay.
Gianni,
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
you got some people who want to farm
So-
octopuses like cattle. Tell us more.
Oh gosh. So, in case any of you haven't known, the world's first octopus farm in Gran Canaria and the Canary Islands is being campaigned against because many people believe that what they're doing is inhumane. So they're farming octopi, I believe the proper term is.
It can be
in
octopi or
droves. They're-
octopuses. I actually looked it up. I personally
Oh,
like the
really?
way octopuses sounds. I'm sorry.
I don't like that sound. But the octopi are being farmed to actually be consumed and eaten. Many people find this wrong and inhumane. And actually, if you haven't known, octopuses, see, Neo, you see what you're doing? They're believed to
My
be highly intelligent, very, very intelligent. They're even known to break out of their own aquariums, which I didn't know that until recently. So, guys, how do you feel? Do you agree with the campaigners? Do you think that it's wrong to farm and eat octopi? Or would you eat octopi?
Octopuses. Right, be good.
I've had calamari in the past. I will never.
Calamari
again.
is squid, though.
Calamari is squid, yep.
Okay, well, it's the same family, so
Similar.
Similar.
Yeah.
similar, yeah. But no, like that, like you were saying, Johnny, cephalopods, the octopi have an extremely high intelligence when it comes to complex puzzle solving. Getting out of their enclosures is a regular occurrence, and I mean, getting out, small storm pipe, getting out like a 3 and a 4 inch pipe. They're amazing. And what's really disturbing about this is that I struggle with eating something intelligent, and it's a delicacy to eat some of the smaller ones live. So for an intelligent live creature to be ingested like that,
What
I can't
defines
imagine the feel.
intelligent? I mean, we're
Sick.
I'm talking
That's so
about
gross.
just what they've been able to demonstrate under clinical conditions, Neo.
but what, I mean, where does the intelligence line end for you?
Complex puzzle solving, like to be able to
They can
like
do that.
breaking out of an aquarium downtown and finding yourself in the ocean. Okay, that's complex
I've
puzzle
seen
solving
mice
because they don't
break
have
out
a
of.
roadmap
I've
for
seen rats break out of enclosures.
But they use different capabilities.
Not that I'm
They're
eating
not
rats,
using their
but okay, go ahead. I'm
mind.
gonna let you finish. Go ahead.
just they process information on such a high level, Neo. Like they've got over 500 million neurons. Humans have in the neighborhood of 20 billion neurons, so a completely different level. But environmentally, you have to stop and think about the impact on this, because the farm that they're proposing is up to 1 million animals, 1 million octopuses. And these are carnivorous animals that live on fish oils and protein. So rearing them puts the further risk on and pressure on an overexploited marine ecosystem. So you're eating a very highly advanced, intelligent animal. You're putting further strain on our marine ecosystem. I just don't see this as being wise, sustainable, or ethical.
Okay.
It's disgusting. It's
But
weird.
you just to be clear, you eat animals.
Yes.
Not happily.
But you eat animals. Both of you eat animals,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I probably won't in about 2 to 5 years. Eventually.
All right, so I'm all for
But
animal rights. I was a vegetarian for like 15 years, and I used to, get on people all day about eating sentient creatures. So I've been there. I've been that guy. So, I mean, anybody that doesn't want to kill animals for food, I love you. My problem is the hypocrisy of what I'm hearing from you guys talking about octopus are so intelligent, I won't eat them. I mean, right as you're biting into like a hindquarters of a very intelligent, gentle cow. I mean, I don't eat dogs because they're pets, or I don't eat fish, or I know some very incredibly smart fish. So where does this intelligence level come into play? They all feel pain. I mean, have you ever seen a cow go to slaughter? Either of you?
Never. Hopefully, never. I do.
They are keenly aware that they are about to be killed because they're lined up. The cow before them gets hit in the brain with a cow prod, and they're killed. And they're pushed into the next. They are aware that they are about to be killed, and they try to get out everything they can. They are scared. It's much like human beings being lined up in front of a shooting squad. So, but suddenly octopus are off limits because they're supposedly smart. I feel that's arrogant, to be honest with you. Again, I'm not saying we should start eating monkeys, dogs, dolphins, even octopus. I'm saying if sentience and intelligence is your reason to not eat them, then you should stop eating all animals. If that's your reasoning, I think it's hypocritical to eat other animals and then say, "Oh, I'm not going to eat these because they're so smart." I'm not buying that.
I would be all for those research dollars being sunk into developing plant-based or enhancing our plant-based sustenance.
But are you going to eat the plant-based sustenance instead of eating cows?
Red meat cows is something that I have slowly been weaning off again for ethical and environmental reasons, because I know that producing red meat has a high environmental impact. So it's not something that I like to indulge in anymore.
Are you going to stop eating pigs? Are you going to start? I mean, because you can't just. Otherwise, it's like we go into an apocalypse, right? And then we start talking about we got to go cannibalisms. Don't hang around Rob because he's going to be like, no, dumb one first. That stupid one over there. We eat him.
No.
That's the stupid one. I'm eating the stupid one.
Who's tender?
I think the thing is, though, Neo, if we can avoid killing more animals for food, let's try to do that. Like, we're not trying to open the palate. I mean, I'm sure different cultures have, like, they eat dogs, they eat guinea pigs, they eat
cats,
anything with legs. Anything with legs, I'm sure, everywhere. But it's like,
that's how we all took COVID, because of, the wet farms.
But I just feel like the reason why I think me and Rob, I can't speak for Rob, but it's not just about the intelligence, it's more so about the humanity of it. I don't feel good eating chicken and tilapia and salmon, codfish.
Because they're very intelligent creatures as well.
They are.
I'm just saying, I'm just saying
octopus.
hypocrisy. I eat meat. So I can't even, I'm not going to say I'm not going to act like, one is better than the other, because they're all very intelligent creatures. I'm just saying.
We don't need to open the palate.
All right. We've spent too much time on this, unfortunately. So there's some comments online. Jose says, Octopi, pretty incredible, extremely intelligent, must watch my octopus teacher. She also says, legumes and plants are my food choices moving forward. Thank you, Neo. Yay! I've changed the mind.
Thanks, Neo. Thanks, Neo.
Oh, actually, you know what? In researching this, I found that although there are no pain receptors in plants, they do respond to stimuli from attack and danger. So they're alive and they do feel something. So anyway, this is Truth, Lies, Shenanigans.
Lies, shenanigans.
This is Shenanigans because why are you guys doing this?
I'm saying shenanigans because you guys are like, I'm not going to eat them because they're so smart.
And it's also true because it's horrible.
All
But they are smart, Neo.
We got to get this last one in. Let's go.
All right.
Lies,
All right.
shenanigans.
Robbie, vinyls, talk about it.
Yeah. So, according to the RIAA, the Recording Industry Association of America's annual revenue report, vinyl records outsold CDs last year for the first time since 1987. So, this trend is happening in North America, UK, Europe. This is happening globally. It's amazing. So vinyl record sales have steadily increased over the last 16 years, according to the RIAA report that was published just Thursday, and now accounts for 71% of all physical music format revenue. So what's your take on the resurgence of vinyl records, and what's in your collection?
I love it.
Johnny, go ahead.
It's a new era. It's a new era. It's a new time. But the article said it best. I think because the lack of concerts, the lack of like physical interaction and festivals and things like that, there's a lot of weird stuff that's been going on. Like remember the Travis Scott thing and people dying at concerts. It's just a resurgence of that old school, like living at home. I mean, being at home and listening to like live music or listening to music on vinyl. I think that's just coming back. But I know, Rob, I love the collection. But I know that a lot of places that I've cleaned at, like Airbnbs that I've cleaned at, they actually have a lot of record players at each of those Airbnbs, and they actually do get used. So yeah, I believe that this is happening. I'm gonna get one. I told you guys that too.
I used to have a lot of vinyl records, but I have a box of vinyl records. When I cleared out my grandmother's home after she died, I got a bunch of vinyl records from there. But to your question, CD sales dropping is not surprising because it's really only old people buying them, right? So, but for vinyl to stay relevant for so long, it's really mostly due to hip hop, right? To DJs, right? And Mr. Theodore Livingston, better known as the Grand Wizard who invented scratching. There's no other way to authentically recreate the sound of scratching and perform needle drops. DJs still do it to this day. You can't do it digitally, and you certainly can't do it using CDs. I mean, let's be honest. So, and then each record you use makes a very unique sound. So it's a very unique sound. Wow. It's something that cannot be duplicated. It's an art form. So, I mean, that's the reason it's stuck around so long. And now, since it's stuck around so long, there's a resurgence that's happening in vinyls because it's a really interesting, it's a very different sound that comes from vinyl. So I'm not surprised at it at all.
Well, there are a few factors that are really driving it. Because audiophiles claim that vinyl provides a warmer, more authentic sound compared to digital, but that's subjective. Nostalgia for those who lived through the golden age of vinyl. Gen Z is really driving sales. Because they praise that the format is tangible and they appreciate the artwork. When you grow up in this digital era, you never own anything. So they value that owning a piece of something, right? And to really back that up, the top 5 albums of 2022 were Taylor Swift's Midnights, Harry Styles' Harry's House, Olivia Rodrigo, Sour, Kendrick Lamar, Good Kid. But at number 5, Fleetwood Mac, Rumors, has endured, and I bought that in 2022 for Joe for Christmas, so I'm part of that. Number 5, baby, number 5.
I'm trending. Nice. So that would be your that's a part of your collection? Oh, okay. Well, time's up.
Yeah.
I would just say that Lauryn Hill would be a part of my collection. Lauryn Hill and the Fugees. Just saying. That would be.
All right,
Yeah.
Jackie
That'll
Robbins
be
says
in
it's
there.
nostalgia for me. I love album covers, especially old school Isaac Hayes, Prince, Parliament, Funkadelic. Yes. Jose,
Yep.
Robbie Rock, I have a date Tuesday after work to visit a record store. Sherry Blaine saying,
Oh,
I
nice.
miss my vinyl records. My Gen Z self loves watching DJs spin records. Yes, yes, yes. Matter of fact, I was when I went to Anaheim, I went down to Hollywood, and they had a DJ spinning records, and she was actually really good. And she was spinning actual vinyl. So
Nice.
Wow.
give it up to hip hop. Hip hop is why it stuck around so long, because otherwise it would have left long ago.
Hip hop hooray.
Ho, hey, ho. All right, this is Truth Lies Shenanigans.
Lies, shenanigans.
Great stuff, Rob.
This is some
That's
truth.
true.
That is the truth. Hip hop is the
Truth bomb.
truth. All right. Let's get to our game. Oh, I didn't tell you guys pre-show what we were playing, huh? Today's game is Would You Rather. That will give us all
okay.
two options. We'll all say which we'd rather do, and if your answer matches the most common answer given to us by the app, you get a point. The person with the most points wins. All right. And the winner, don't forget, always gets the final thought for the show. Let's get started. Would you rather have a cook or a maid? I'm going
A
with
cook.
Yeah. Made.
I'm going with a maid. I'm going with a maid. I can eat out
You guys
once
are
in a while.
crazy.
Let's see. Answers a cook. Gianni
Wow.
Storm gets an egg, gets a point. All right.
Wow.
Would you rather be the absolute best at something that no one takes seriously, or would you rather be well above average but not anywhere near the best at something well respected? Oh, absolute best at something that
I
no
want to
one
be the
takes
best
seriously.
at something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
me too.
Like even if
I want to be the best.
even if it's like yo-yo stuff. Okay, nobody takes it seriously, but the best performer should go, wow.
Best. That is correct. We all got
Yeah.
that one. All right.
And not dissing professional yo-yo guys. and girls.
Right,
Johnny
that's the
Robbins
thing.
said a maid, definitely. See, everybody's agreeing with maid. But Gianni got it right. So,
I need a
would
cook.
you
Yeah, I need
rather
somebody to cook everything.
have to wear wet socks every day or be allowed to wash your
Ugh.
hair once a week? Oh, I would
Once
not
a
wear.
year.
I do that already.
Oh, once
Oh,
a year.
once a year?
Oh, once a year.
Whoa.
Wash my hair once a
No.
year. Hands down.
Wash my hair once a year.
Wash my hair once a year.
That's
Ah,
easy because
that's
we're
that
bald.
Lucky. I'm gonna have to wrap dreads or something.
So which one is it,
None.
Johnny?
Okay.
You can rock it.
The once a year.
I would definitely not wear
Mm.
wet socks every day. Really?
Yeah, I can't. I'll die.
That wet socks.
Wrong answer.
Oh, we got
That's
it all
so
wrong.
uncomfortable.
So Gianni Storm is still
Johnny's
in the
just
lead.
rocking it, man.
All right. Looks like online, Jose says I would take a maid over cook, and she says wash my hair once a year. That's why patchouli is still around. Okay.
Dirty hippie.
All right. Would you rather be a giant mouse or a tiny elephant?
A tiny elephant.
Giant
They're
anything.
cute.
Giant mouse.
I'm going with a
No,
giant
the
mouse. Yeah.
Tiny elephant is too
Ew.
vulnerable.
Disgusting.
Giant mouse.
Yeah, but they're
Giant.
cute.
Okay. Me and Rob B get it. Yep. All right. Last
weird.
one.
I was
We're
trying
all
to get
tied.
mouse.
We're all tied. Would you rather be famous but ridiculed or just be a normal person?
I think just be me. I'm a normal person, I think.
Yeah, just be normal.
Famous but ridiculed. Is it?
So that's
That's
like
okay.
interesting.
This is an American poll, right? So everyone wants to be famous. I'm gonna go with their answer. I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna go
win.
with their answer
Be
too.
famous but ridiculed.
I'm gonna say just be a normal person. All right. So Robbie, you're going out on a limb.
I'm going out on a limb.
You are correct. You know Americans
Shame.
too well, buddy. You
I'm
win the
on
game.
Too well.
All right, let's get us some shout outs, guys. Gianni Storm.
Shout out to my best friend once again. I'm going to be visiting her today, actually, tonight.
In
She's
Kentucky?
in town visiting.
Oh,
so-
she's in town.
No, she's from Nevada. She lives in Nevada, but she's visiting in Atlanta. So I'm
So you
here
got
tonight.
a
Shout
couple
out
of
to you.
best friends.
I do. I only have two best friends.
Two best friends.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah, two really close friends. Two really close girls. Yeah.
All right, Robbie.
My shout out is going out to Jean Bailey of Omaha. I found her when I was just scouring for news. So 4 times a week, this 102-year-old lady leads her neighbors at Elk Ridge Village, a senior living community, in everything from arm stretches to leg raises. She's been running fitness classes for 15 years.
Wow.
This lady's my
Wow.
hero.
Nice
Jean
shout out.
Bailey.
All right. And
Epic.
my shout out goes to my niece Adrienne. It's her birthday today. Love you.
Adrian.
Sorry I didn't make it to your birthday party yesterday. I wasn't feeling good, but happy birthday. Happy birthday. And that is officially all the time we have for today's show. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. We hope you learned something, gained a new perspective, simply had some laughs with us. It was a lot of fun today. We will be back recording our podcast next week live, as always, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The following week, we will have Mayor Pro Tem of College Park joining our show, Denise Mitchell. So feel free to join us then. Ask her a bunch of questions like you did with Kate Kennedy today. Don't forget to check out our video clip. Subscribe to us on YouTube using TLSShow.com. And look for our official podcast episodes on Tuesdays on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And our winner for the final thought of the day, Robbie Rock. Close us out.
All right. So I've had this quote in the barrel since February from Reverend Jesse Jackson. Never look down on anybody unless you're helping them up. Love that quote.
I
Ooh.
like that. I like that. Great quote.
Thank you, Rob.
Great quote, Rob.
Love.
Very cool.
We love that.
So thank you, Robbie Rock, Gianni. Thank you, Kate Kennedy, for joining us, Councilmember Kate Kennedy. But most importantly,
Thank you,
we need
Kate.
to thank you for listening to our shenanigans each and every week. Have a great one, everyone. Have a good night. See you next week.